Hello and welcome back to another edition of whatever this series is. It's not really a series, just weekend league games, foot champs, grind, highlights, whatever you want to call it. This was the weekend of Christmas, and starting off with Peter Schmeichel walking the ball into his own net. Always nice to see that for a first game. You don't actually get many of these this year. I think there were more last year. Seeing a lot of content creators commenting on, there's only so many casuals left on this game. It definitely feels that way. But main changes to the side this weekend were packed untradeable winter wildcards, Alexia Putellas or Putellas. I don't know which way it would go, but she's in the team. And wow, that's a 2.5 million coin card. The rich just get richer. The pack luck's been unbelievable this year, and it really seems. The goal was kind of wide open there, but that's fine. It really kind of seems if you've got the luck, it just continues with you this year more than past years. Your account's either phenomenal with what it's packing, or really kind of nowhere near good enough. We're just saying along the lines of phenomenal somehow. So she slots in nicely at left center mid for the false 9 we're still continuing on using. Right center mid, she's replacing, I think I was using Putellas there last weekend. Putellas has gone to CDM instead of Informed Conte. And instead of Musiala, Centurions at right center mid, we're doing, what is this, the Dynasties Zidane, the 92. This is the only weekend league he's going to feature, I'll say that much. Just a nice passing play while I'm waffling on in the background here. Actually not sure what I'm trying to showcase. I just wanted to comment, the attacking line there is really interesting. We've got 5 of my attackers completely in one line versus 4 of theirs in one line. Bypassed the midfield block, but standing in front of the defensive block. Not great verticality. You'd want a little more depth to it, but it is really nice to continue using this formation and still getting that many attackers involved. But yeah, I mentioned before this account is shared, so my dad does a lot of the SBCs and all that stuff, and so he's the one who packed Winter Wildcards, Putellas, and did the SBC for Zidane, so I don't have any footage of those or anything, but here they are, and, well, Putellas will probably be a mainstay for a while. I'm not as impressed with her as I would have hoped. The average body type is definitely noticeable, which is really unfortunate. This is the only game where you have to use some third-party website to figure out if your player is going to perform okay in game or not, but everything else about her is great. The double 5-star, of course. Actually, I mentioned the body type. Her dribbling, definitely, you feel it with the left stick and any of your agile dribbling or strafe dribbling, any of that. But her skill moves come off maybe the best I have in the team, which is really interesting. Not how I would assume that would go, but I don't know, maybe it's the height or something else about her body type. But yeah, skill moves are great. The actual just standard dribbling, not so great. Zidane is significantly worse. Don't think I'm going to be using any other mostly lengthy accelerate type players anywhere further forward than center back from now on. Speaking of, I'm recording this a bit late, so I've already completed the next weekend league, and my dad has also done the Hullet SBC, and I don't think he's getting anywhere near my team either. Press proven is really nice. We'll talk about that one more next time. But yeah, I don't know. I'm what you would describe as a left stick merchant, I guess. Players have to feel a certain way for me to be able to have fun in this game and play my specific play style. Zidane's great otherwise. Pretty good otherwise. Defensively, I feel like he's been lacking. So that's why he's not featuring. Next weekend he will just be replaced by Musiala again. But yeah. Definitely some big additions for this weekend, even if they're a little bit leaving something to be desired. Formation stays just about the same as last week. Believe I'm doing the same thing with Garrincha as the center forward for now. I think I might move Mbappe there centrally later. And I'm kind of constantly tweaking just how, kind of based on how I'm feeling more than how the formation's doing. If I feel a little bit more direct, I'll get him behind on sometimes the center forward, sometimes the wingers, normally just the center forward. If I feel like doing a little bit more build-up, then I'll just leave the center forward balanced. Which is both good and bad with Garrincha's medium-low. He's good at staying around where I want him, but kind of bad at getting others involved, I would say. Which with his dribbling and passing isn't too big of a deal. You can kind of accomplish that all on your own. But the strange thing about this game and all the attacking AI for me is just the fact that the attacking AI doesn't do anything for your other players. There's a reason everyone uses get him behind, and it's partially because it is really effective and just like getting players in a position and getting everyone forward and down the pitch and forward into the box. But the other reason is if you don't have it on your players, then they're kind of stationary, and then they'll just stand in position where your other players could be making runs getting into. This game. I didn't have footage of the actual disconnect, but you saw we just went up there in that match, and I got a DNF for it. Just booted all the way back to the main menu. So there's my one loss for the weekend. I have to go completely just win after win after win from there. Always nice. I feel like I'm getting a disconnect weekend league, which is really frustrating, honestly. But I think we can do it. I think we can do it. But yeah, if you don't have getting behind on players, they'll just kind of stand in a useful position where, your center mids or your other attackers could be getting into those spots. But because they're currently, that position isn't being vacated, it's currently being occupied, and they're not making any attempt to get out of that spot, then none of your other players will move into that position either. I wish there were more like give and goes you could do, or like little one-touch passes, back and forth. I wish they made better runs off of each other. This formation is still doing really well in that regard. It's just, I think the reason I'm really enjoying this is, oh look at that, Messi absolutely outpacing somehow Laurent Blanc there. But the reason I'm really enjoying this formation is it's great at getting everyone involved, despite everything I've been talking about. But part of the reason you have to use one like this, for me at least, is the other formations aren't going to get everyone involved. So because it's got all the width to it, because the center mids play a little bit deeper, the fact that they're all kind of a little bit more stationary sometimes, they're always the best at making runs. Not as a formation thing, just as what the attacking AI is in this game. Because they're all far enough away from each other normally, they've all got their own positions to occupy. And we always love a down by 3 goals in the 88th minute forced replay watch. So, always love it. But yeah, I wish the main thing, I wish the players made better runs off of each other, but this formation, good at taking advantage of the fact that they don't, I guess. You could say that. Lovely long-range conceded header there. Love that. Always great when Mbappe with, 4 inches less than one of your center backs in terms of height and probably less jumping and heading accuracy, just wants it more. But that's what you pay for Mbappe for. That's just part of what his card has been for, the past 4 years now or whatever it is. There's a reason he's one of the best. That pass was really disappointing from Blanc, and I think it's deflected and goes in. Not where I was trying to aim with him. Yeah, okay, so despite everything I've been saying about the movements and them not really getting the positions where others are, again, the fact that everyone's kind of got their own set position in this formation that's far enough away from each other. So for example, if you've got the 4-3-2-1 that everyone's using, for me, because you've got three really defined central attackers, the two center forwards and the striker, because they're kind of guaranteed to be occupying those spaces, unless you get a really good get-in-behind instruction out of one sometimes. Disappointing finish there from Zidane, and I was kind of noticing that a lot this weekend. But yeah, unless in that 4-3-2-1, unless you get a really good run made from someone, then like your center mids are kind of stuck further back. Really hard, in my opinion, at least, to get them involved unless you're doing kind of German crosses or spamming, manual ones with them or anything like that. Whereas here, yeah, the two wingers are designed to get all the way, from the width that they have back into central areas, and they do that a lot. But they only do it sometimes, and the other times it leaves the attacking AI for those center mids to get forward into those spots instead. Just get a little more variety, and I think using the base AI of every player a little bit better instead of kind of forcing things out of them a little bit too much. Yeah, besides for the post there again, I was also experiencing that a lot this weekend. Just the finishing in general feeling a little bit off. Yeah, once again, Mbappe wide. That was unfortunately 85th minute. That should be going in, come on. The amount of finishes you can have in this game that are so much more difficult than that, I think is part of what makes that really disappointing. You can concede a 30-yard finesse shot when the player's under pressure and your goalie should have no problem saving it, and they do a weird animation and it just loops in. But no, a shot from 17 yards goes wide. It's those kind of things that just make this game a little bit interesting. Yeah, Grinch getting absolutely taken out there by Fergie. Yeah, otherwise, so I'm complaining a lot, but I think what I want to do with this series or uploads or whatever I'm going to call this is try to keep it a little more positive, or kind of balance it out, a little bit good, a little bit bad. Because again, the point of this is kind of to showcase the formation here, and I guess without trying to inflate my own ego too much, show off, you don't have to play the more meta way that everyone does with kind of abusing mechanics a little bit more and all that stuff. Trying to show, I still definitely do. Just trying to show off you can use your ground passing or your dribbling just a little bit more than most of your opponents will. So I think, yeah, for every weekend here, we're going to talk a little bit about the bad. Of course, there's always been that in FIFA, but also try to talk about, is that the worst FIFA we've ever had? Is it? It seemed like it was. I don't think it is anymore. That seems to be the general consensus I'm picking up. Although it's still far, far from anybody's favorite. As a shot just goes absolutely through McPope there. The seal out has also been a little bit interesting. You saw it there with Blanc. Trying to get the ball off Bobby Charlton, and it does the animation for the seal out, but doesn't actually seem to accomplish anything. I feel like I've noticed that a little bit more lately. And I got set a pick on there. That's also always very nice. All of that being said, still generally having fun with the game. There's always your complaints with it, but you'll get that with any FIFA. You'll get that with any video, online competitive game in general. That was an interesting one. Forgot about this one. That match didn't count at all. Luckily, it wasn't a loss, as I was worried it would be, but just a complete waste of both of our time. Well, I don't know if the opponent got a loss or not, but waste of our time. Mbappe really kind of showcasing his finishing. I have put him up to center forward here for this weekend. The weird thing about him centrally, as opposed to where I've normally got him out on the right wing, is normally what his AI is so good at is, I talked earlier on in this video about how bad the AI is about getting everyone else involved. Mbappe's the one, normally, the one exception for that. He's really good at getting into space for himself, but because he's so aggressive with his own runs and gets into space, that often leaves much, much better space for all of your other attackers. I don't notice that quite as much this year. I don't know if that's a formation or a tactic thing on my end, or just how I use him. But interestingly enough, he seems a little more selfish this year. He still gets into really good positions, and from there, you can... He's got the dribbling and some decent enough passing to kind of slow it down and get other players involved, but it doesn't seem... I don't know if it's him making, more selfish runs than I've noticed from his cards in past years, or all of the other players around him aren't as good at making runs based off of his. I think the attacking AI generally is... It's hard to say. I feel like I like the AI more this year, actually, than last year. But I despise the defensive AI a lot more than last year. So the advantages you would get from the things I like about it this year just aren't really quite there. Definitely nowhere near as there as they should be. You notice it, I think, very heavily this year on the games you play where there's a pretty significant skill gap. I think... Okay, so it depends on the tactics your opponent's playing. It depends if they're playing, spamming the offside trap and the constant pressure, 71 depth, or any of that stuff. If they're not, then the attacking AI, I think, is much easier to take advantage of and really run up the score this year as opposed to last year. Whereas last year it felt like the defensive AI would just do significantly more for the opponent and make it harder to run the score up. Again, in those games with a big skill gap. This year, I feel like the defensive AI doesn't quite do as much for you unless you've got those entirely meta tactics. So every once in a while you do get a nice game where it's just completely open. You almost don't even have to do that much. Like, your players will just get into position. Your opponent's going to leave so many gaps for you. But most of the games you get, the way the defensive AI is just kind of neutralizes the attacking AI completely. So maybe last year's AI would be better if it was better at taking advantage of the way the defending was this year, but as it is, what we've got this year just really kind of turns it into a nothing game. Which again is part of why I'm using this formation. Even when it's like everything's shut down, normally you've at least got the width to go down the sideline. You've got players spread out enough to where it doesn't quite get completely choked off by all of your constant pressure stuff, which I haven't been noticing as much in Weekend League. It's just getting worse and worse and worse in Rivals, I think. People are either figuring it out more, or just more people are using it. But in Weekend League, there's both less casuals, but also the matchmaking seems a little bit less skill-based, I would say, in past years. Well, I don't know if that's fair, because I'm comparing it to the end of last year, where the player base, I think, definitely died off, and I was playing a lot of repeat players at the end of last year. Whereas for this year, I think there's, even though I definitely think the player base is very small, for this time of year at least, I still think there's more people playing now than there were at the last 2 or 3 months of the previous FIFA. Showcasing here, I just really don't like how the pressure works with so many players running at you. It's one thing if it's like 2 or 3 of the AI all sprinting at you, but when they've got like 4 or 5 attackers all trying to close you down. This play, I remember this one. This was disappointing. Somehow that clearance doesn't get above what is Bernardo? It's 5'8", I believe he is. Somehow it doesn't get above him and just bounces all around for an easy finish for the opponent. And a bit disappointing, but we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. I think this might be the last game. It's certainly one of the last ones. There've been, I think, 2 games where it's gone to, I think, one like the 80th minute and one the 90th minute, and with a tied score, and just getting the final goal then. But other than that, I don't think I had any games go to extra time this weekend, which was different from the one before. So I think I definitely had an easier time this one. I don't know if that was just the way the Christmas matchmaking was or anything, but or the effectiveness of the new center mids or the tactics I had. That was scary. Last game of the weekend, the menu not wanting to load. I was worried it was going to boot me out, but no, all good. That's 2 rank 1s in a row. Again, not going to open many of the rewards, still saving most of this for Team of the Year. We'll open the picks here, though, which, spoiler alert, weren't anything, but that's fine. I'm not expecting too much. And, yeah. Still trying to figure out exactly how I want to format all of these, or what I want to talk about, and I'll try to do a little bit better of a job focusing on the clips, I think, going forward, actually talking on the gameplay in the background rather than kind of talking about the game generally, focus a little bit more on what you're watching. But final review for the team here. Just about everyone was like an 8 out of 10. They were great, but not phenomenal. Definitely felt like I was lacking a little bit here or there. Which is just kind of a perfect summation of this game, I think. Great, but not phenomenal. Or decent, but, 7 out of 10, but not phenomenal. Anyway, just a few of the rewards here, and we're going to end it off here. So, thank you for watching, and I should have another one of these out pretty soon, because getting this out a little late, and we've already completed the next weekend league. But, yeah, see you all later.